welcome you all to 20 Yogacharya Gayatri Ashram in Milan and the Yoga Paripurna line, the Yoga of the Origin. She is bestowed with several honors like F. Gandhi Simplicity Award for Peace, elected Ambassador for Peace UPF, Universal Peace Federation, and was member of Director Committee Sita Monda of the Cultural Department of Milan. Before I request Yogacharya Gayatri Devi ji to kindly deliver her session on Yoga is Everything, but Everything is Not Yoga, we have among us our Guruji and Director of Mokshatan Yog Sansthan, Adarniya Acharya Pratishtha ji. I request Guruji to kindly welcome Pandita Gayatri Devi ji and say a few words.
Namaste, thank you, and I welcome everyone to Global Yoga Conference organized by Mokshaitan Yog Sansthan, supported by Ministry of Ayush and Indian Council for Cultural Relations to celebrate and mark International Day of Yoga. We have a very eminent speaker among us, as told just now, and she has contributed a lot in promotion and propagation of yoga, especially in Italy and nearby areas. She and her experience is immense, and I'm sure our listeners and our audiences, attendees of this conference would take maximum benefit of her presence. And topic that she has taken is really, really beautiful, that yoga is everything, but not that everything is yoga. I'm sure her session will be an eye opener for many of our attendees. I would not take much time between all of you wonderful people who have joined this workshop and our very eminent Emmy Blesio ji, Gayatri Devi ji, who has accepted our invitation and who has agreed to be a part of this Global Yoga Conference. She is a part of our entire Mokshaitan Yog Sansthan family and Bharat Yoga family. Thank you once again for accepting our invitation. Everyone, learn, not just listen, but learn and adapt all what you learn from these sessions. That is the only way we can make this global yoga conference successful.
Namaste. I thank you for inviting me to this great event, and I offer my spiritual greeting to all esteemed seekers. My today topic is Yoga is everything, but not everything is yoga. The yoga that I propose in the school is a yoga paripurna, full, total, a yoga of the origin, a precious traditional yoga with a good deep and which can evolve but without losing its peculiarity and its essence. Some Indian rishis cataloged the yoga I proposed as a full, total, or paripurna. I immediately liked it, and I adopted it to distinguish from yoga that at the time, 19th, was being offered in the USA. Paripurna is a yoga with roots that are founded in a conscious substrate. I'll give an example to clarify. Any beauty flower, when cut off and rootless, is nothing but a dead thing and ultimately becomes just a sterile, dry thing. On the contrary, A plant with good roots can grow up and give its flowers and tasty fruits. And the roots of yoga that go into the deep humus are through the parampara, the traditional spiritual relations to the teaching. The teacher from yoga, but it is difficult in this precious economy of this. Therefore, I interested my ears in your and make it evolve without losing its peculiarity. Now, let's see the meaning of the Sanskrit word yoga. The word yoga has the meaning of union, control, comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, to unit. You get the yoke that is fixed on the neck of the white oxen to join them, guide them, and attach them to the plow. The two oxen walk in unison, and the driver who drives the plow must make sure that the furrow is straight. Yoga, therefore, indicates the set of techniques that allow the union, the join of the body, mind, and soul with one's essence, and the control of one's drives to proceed straight and aware of its path. The one who follows and practices the path of yoga is called a yogi, who is determined to go straight to the goal. Yoga is a science, a path that gradually changes the practitioner from the inside with awareness, and changing inside also changes the world environment that surrounds him. We live in an ocean of air, and our air is contact with everything we surround. It's involved in the world, and often we involve the world. Like drops of the ocean of air, we are constantly in contact with the world. How can we feel separate? Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you would like in others, And even more clearly he said, I cannot hurt you without hurting myself. It is clear that he had perceived that he belonged to the world. And this is also a message of yoga, and one that is worth following. And this is also a message of yoga, and one that is following. The path on the way of yoga can seem arduous and strong because not even one deep of the is a it gives that awareness that allows you to see the world with different respect more. Everything that surrounds us is part of a single great soul, of a single immense breath. Let's start from the beginning and see yoga in the of history and the classification of the various lines of yoga. The roots of yoga draw in science and the profound thoughts of the sacred Vedic text. They have an approximated dating of 6,000 years or perhaps more. We even speak of the Neolithic in Ramayana. Yoga is one of 6 points of view. Darshan, orthodox system of Hindu philosophy, but at the same time it includes them all. It finds its rules in the most recent codification in the Yoga Sutra by the sage Patanjali, which are dated from 400 years before Christ to 400 years after Christ. There are many interpretations in the classification of aspects of the various types of yoga. The characteristic of modern society is the haste and superficiality, which is precisely what makes a small part of this profound science be taken and used and dilated until they lose their main nature. But in the exact form from the great epics Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, which is the best known part of the quoted great text, 3 traditional lines are mentioned: Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion; Karma Yoga, the yoga of action without attachment to the result; Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. This is followed by the Raja Yoga, mentioned by Patanjali, which take up the 6 steps of Maitri Upanishad, with the addition of the 5 yama and the 5 niyama, inspired by the 10 yama and 10 niyama of the Chandilya Upanishad and the other Upanishad too. In Patanjali's 196 sutras, only 3 are dedicated to asana. In fact, in the West, Hatha Yoga is mistakenly considered a physical discipline. While the name itself already defines the completeness of this term, Hatha, positive and negative, masculine and feminine, 2 polarities that completen each other in the union yoga. Raja Yoga, on the other hand, as a mental discipline and affirm that the mind has a great power, just as the sun's rays concentrated through a prism can cut the steel when the free rays of the mind are brought together and concentrated in one point, they develop great power, which allow you to have access to intuition, deeper knowledge, at a very high level of consciousness. And coming from this classic and tested line, Bhakti, Jnana, Karma, and Raja, there is no proliferation of many lines, consistent and not which are only elaboration of a small part of the 4 traditional ones. I guess, or now we can speak about the benefit of yoga. Mens sana and corpore sano, claimed the ancient Romans, but we can also say the opposite, healthy body in a healthy mind. The connection of the body with the mind and soul can be seen from the first physical practice that reveal how the practitioner is involved in a holistic sense in every part of him. But yoga has a great force that both physically and Hatha means power, balance, but also expresses the 2 polarities on the human being, of the human being. As I said before, Ha means sun, heat, heart, positive pole, and Ta means moon, cold, sky, negative pole. Yoga exercise, therefore, have the task of balancing and dominating the opposition force and of our organism. It is very important to practice consistently, even a few minutes every day, and heart's inner peace come naturally. I said inner peace, but do not think of yoga as a religion, because it would be a wrong concept. Yoga is a way for the realization of the human being, which can be walked equally by believers and non-believers, followers of every confession, without coming into conflict with their beliefs and ideas. The acceptance of diversity is a value, like a white light that illuminated things and enhance their color, making the object it touches shine. On the contrary, a color light evens out the color and flattens the difference and all the objects it touches. Yoga is passed on from masters, guru, to disciples. Gu means darkness and Ru means light. Therefore, the guru should remove the darkness and bring light into the life of the disciples. Yoga is that white light that enhances all colors, can be practiced without the limitation of a certain line of thought, and belongs to those who are free from any constraint of discrimination. I wanted to point this out
Dr. Saab, Dr.
so
Saab, namaskar.
that
हाँ
रिचा
नमस्ते।
there is
नमस्ते।
no
रिचा 2
misunderstanding.
मिनट बेटा, बस
In
हम लोग
ancient
शुरू करते
India,
हैं।
ओके
the
डॉक्टर साहब कैसे हैं आप?
disciple
ठीक है, आप
lived
कैसी हैं?
in close
बहुत बढ़िया,
contact
और बढ़िया
with the
इनॉग्रेशन हो
Guru
गया,
and severed,
गुरुदेव
हाँ
के
बहुत
आशीर्वाद
severed
से।
him
जी
with the
जी
नहीं
जी
worship.
जी
बहुत अच्छा है।
जी
In
जी, और
this
आपका भी
way,
पूरा
he
सपोर्ट था उसमें,
absorbed the
उसी के कारण
knowledge
संभव हो पाया।
of the
धन्यवाद
master,
बस हमारा
धन्यवाद।
फर्स्ट सेशन
becoming him in
ओवर होने
tour,
वाला है, बस 2 मिनट में हम लोग स्टार्ट
and
करेंगे,
this still
है ना? 2
अच्छा
मिनट
applies
में
मेरे
today in this
मुझे कितना
tradition.
बोलना होगा? 15
The
मिनट 20
teacher
मिनट?
on tour
जितना
has the
20
duty
to
to
30 मिनट्स
transmit
वही
knowledge
रखा है ना,
ओके हो
6:15 से
to the
6:15 से
हाँ
मतलब
disciples
6:15 to
as if
6:45,
they were
ओके हो
his
जाएगा आराम
है ना?
से।
देन नेक्स्ट सेशन इज
children.
एट 7.
ओके
Them the
Okay, so
opportunity
just
to
give me 1 minute.
walk alone. This is important. Everything as knowledge like the source and contaminated poor and the disciple will have first a good also enlighten it, but will make the disciple walk it with own steps. And it is important to understand. I think the end we don't do yoga, but we are yoga. All the physical exercise of yoga are described in the various classic texts where everyone can reach, but you have to know that the experience, the precise instruction, the philosophy, the science of yoga are transmitted by the master, guru, teacher, with words and above all by example. Most important with the example. the dignitaries and yoga seekers from across the globe alike, including small kids, to the president of the nation. Aim of Mokshaithan Yoga Sansthan is physical, mental, and emotional balance and cultivate the great cultural. It can be said that yoga, although tied to tradition, is a living science. However, remember that yoga is everything, but not everything is yoga. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Asato Ma Sagamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Jnana. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mrityormukshiyamamritate. Om Shanti 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 Shanti.